Hello there, so here I am. It's just gone 4:30 in the morning and it's Sunday morning of Sounds Beautiful Festival. It's a festival for people who in 2020 were ordered to do a whole bunch of things they didn't want to do, and on due reflection their answer was no, we do not comply. So that's the cultural demographic of this festival, and I've never ever been to a festival with such an interesting demographic as this one. Often it's a love of music or being outside or an alternative lifestyle or smoking cannabis or a variety of other things that can be the things that brings everyone together. But for this one, that's what it's about. It's about people who took a stand. There was a thing during 2020, 2021 where people did this thing called Stand in the Park, and on the Sunday they would all go out to the park together, regardless of whatever so-called mandate was imposed, and be together. And I got the really wonderful experience of listening to Mandy in conversation yesterday, and she was telling me that that's what happened. They had Stand in the Park where they were, and when all the restrictions were lifted, they continued to meet and then became friends. And out of these friends, what she explained to me is that is how Sounds Beautiful Festival was created. She's a volunteer. She's not on the group of people that runs it, but she's very definitely a volunteer. So I was really great pleasure in listening to her yesterday explaining about all this. I look forward to meeting her again today if our paths cross. So there was a festival here a year ago, and this is Gaunt's house in Dorset, in what I call the soft underbelly of South England. And I'm so grateful that I was invited to come here, because I want to tell you about Chris. So Chris is my current apprentice, trained to be a shaman, and after his most recent visit to train, staying at my home, he then sent me a message on Telegram to tell me that he went to this event in Norfolk, which is a county where he lives, and he found it very inspiring to be around a bunch of people who were all had this one thing in common, that they don't simply do what other people tell them, that they've got the ability to critically consider whatever information is put to them. And for a lot of these people, 2020 and 2021 was a real time of awakening. So that's all I knew. And he sent me the link, and I thought, it looks like a nice festival, I'll give it a go. So I'm so glad that I'm here. Now, I will make another film, which is not at 4:30 in the morning, so I can show you something else. But I'm doing this partly because when I came to this festival, I had a feeling of wanting to do something. So many times at festivals I've had a job to do. The very first festival I went to was Glastonbury, and my first job was being what was called a green litter picker, going out with a team of 23 people, picking litter every day. And the festival was on in the morning, early, so it meant the rest of the time we had to explore, bimble about and enjoy our festival. So that's how my journey with festivals began, and it's reached this point now where I'm meeting this very interesting cross-section of people from all different cultures and, dare I utter the word, classes and lifestyles, but with this one thing in common, that 2020 arrived and the government tried to play its little chess game on the population of the country. And there was this consensus that was reached, in many cases individually, no, not doing that. So what I've discovered is that all over the country there are festivals with people who have been through this awakening journey in 2020. Many of them went through the journey many, many years earlier, and I'm one of them. And my awakening began when I was between age 18 and 19, and I had my very first experience of being initiated into my very first plant medicine, the one that's generally not so highly regarded, which is the cannabis medicine. Tended to be dismissed as something purely recreational, and yet for me that was my fundamental awakening into realising that things, the story, the narrative, the view that was presented to us all on the mainstream media was really so far from the truth that if you were to have used the word lies, you would really be so ultimately accurate. That's when my journey began, between the ages of 18 and 19. And it all tied in with being in university, which meant leaving home, being with a bunch of people who had one thing in common, which is they'd chosen to do a degree in some subject or other. And so that's why I was at uni. And so that was really my initiation, because that's how I discovered cannabis. It was being at university and spending a whole term, the whole of the autumn term, my first year at university. I spent the time doing what I tend to do, which is when there's something new arises, I listen, I observe, I pay attention to other people. So there's all these people around me, they're all smoking cannabis and I'm not. And I have been given and swallowed the mainstream media narrative all the way back at that time in my life, age 18, smoking cannabis. Oh, it's a drug. Oh, it's harmful. Oh, it's evil. So I genuinely believed all this when I was at uni in my first year. And as I got to know a whole bunch of people, I got to hang out with them while they had their smokes. I discovered that the mainstream media narrative had no bearing on the truth whatsoever. These people were very interesting, very thought-provoking people with incredibly interesting ideas about all sorts of things. And after a whole term of this, I thought, well, how do you feel? It's like, yes, I feel yes. So the following term, the second term in my first year at uni, I took the plunge. And together with a friend I'd made, we put 50p in together, which meant that we were putting in £1. Can you imagine this? You put in £1, and we were what was called a quid deal of some hash. And I was so supremely paranoid at this point that what I did when I wasn't smoking the cannabis, I used to open one of the switches on my university halls of residence room, and I used to stuff the hash in there and then screw the switch back on the wall. So if anyone was to search my room, they wouldn't find anything. And in those days, that was quite a serious business, because a friend of mine got fined £85 for having 2 roaches in her jacket pocket when she was of a similar age in a similar part of the world. And put it into conventional money, it's like being fined probably £300 or £400. You know, it was a significant amount of money from your income. So that was the culture at that time. Mainstream media had everyone by the balls, and it wasn't as though I trusted my own evidence of my own perceptions of these people around me. I got my initiation into realising things are not what they seem, and that the mainstream media is just peddling a bunch of bollocks, which is one of my most favourite words to use about all the weird stuff that's been happening ever since then. So it's about 4:45 by now, so I'm going to wind the film up and say, sounds beautiful, it's a great festival, it's in Dorset. The only possible disappointment I could utter, which has been mentioned by a few people as I've had many interesting conversations throughout the days I've been here. I arrived here Thursday midday, and here we are now on Sunday morning. One of the main themes is far fewer people are present at this festival, and that must be at least a financial disappointment for the organisers. But this has made no difference to the spirit and the enjoyment that everyone has been clearly experiencing being here. And I guess I would say the overriding theme is freedom. People choosing to live their lives the way they want to. And it's been a great pleasure to me that what's happened is I've been hearing my squirt. A squirt is a small yurt. It is so small. It's only 8 foot diameter. It's just a single person yurt, really, this one. If I got like, I could possibly have had a second person staying the night with me, but it's not worked out. And you know what, that actually hasn't mattered at all. I've had such good fun being here. So yeah, people being themselves, people being free, those to me are the hallmarks of what this festival is all about. And the numbers, well, whatever really, as far as numbers are concerned. And a whole variety of music, a great variety of speakers in the workshops and the events. So what made me decide to make this film is I heard the guinea fowl. Now there are flocks of guinea fowl that wander around like avian gangs on this wonderful piece of land. And so there you are, you having a human day with all these humans, conversations, and suddenly a dozen guinea fowl burst into the scene, twittering, making the special sounds they make. And apparently one of the main things they like to do is wander around eating ticks, which is a very desirable thing for them to do. Very helpful to the humans on the site, eating the ticks. So that's something I've never experienced in any festival ever, and I've been to a very large number of festivals from 1992 to today. All the love to you. Be free, enjoy your life. Remember, this life is for you to live. Be yourself. Thank you very much.